Welcome to our channel, the fastest and most complete update of news, analysis and attractive predictions about the movies Beyond the Gates. Here, you will be immersed in thrilling stories, unexpected developments and in-depth analysis to help you better understand the mysterious world that the movie brings. In the thick fog covering the ancient mansion on the other side of the gate that has been sealed for decades, everything seems to be cracking under the weight of long-buried secrets. Dani, who is quiet, resilient and usually tries to keep everything under control, finally can't bear it anymore. When the terrible truth that she tried to hide is accidentally but cruelly revealed by Harley, her perfect facade collapses in a fierce rage. She attacks Harley right in front of everyone. The madness in her eyes horrifies everyone. Bill, who had always tried to keep Dani in his own mental safety zone, completely lost control when he witnessed the collapse of the woman he had always tried to protect. In that chaotic moment, he himself slipped beyond the boundaries of reason. He went crazy. Not simply because of Harley's actions, but also because he himself had failed to prevent the inevitable. The secret had been exposed, Dani had collapsed. And everything he had worked so hard to protect was now burning little by little in the storm of madness. No one understood why Harley did what she did. Some thought she was just a victim of arrangement. Some claimed she was carrying out a part of a larger plan. But the truth was that Harley herself did not foresee the consequences of her words. What she reveals is more than a secret, it's a key that unlocks the door to a nightmare. Where Dani is the center, Bill is the keeper. And everyone else is just a pawn in a twisted game that began years ago. When Harley collapses after Dani's blow, the blood seeping from the corner of her mouth is not just a sign of physical pain but also a confirmation, the worst has happened. The room where the incident took place falls silent. Then erupts into screams, running footsteps, and panicked whispers. But Bill doesn't move. He stands still, watching Dani cry out in terror, then slides into a state of uncontrollable rage. Memories of the past resurface, of times he tried to calm her down, of times he tried to stop her from doing something stupid. But now, he has no control over anything. The psychological instability that had been hidden in Bill for so long seemed to be completely released. He smashed, screamed, and attacked anyone who tried to approach Dani. Everyone realized that Bill was not just Dani's protector, but also someone bound to her by a deep spiritual contract, possibly from beyond the gates where all the laws of reality were distorted. From that moment, everything in the mansion began to change. Supernatural phenomena occurred continuously, the lights flickered for unknown reasons, the walls bled. The mirrors reflected images that did not belong to this world. Some people began to hear whispers in the night, carrying ancient words, curses that no one dared to repeat in words. There was no doubt the truth that Harley accidentally revealed not only devastated Dani, but also awakened an ancient entity waiting for the opportunity to return to the human world. In the days that followed, Dani became quiet, not shedding a tear, not speaking, not eating. She just sat alone in the dark room, staring at the corner of the wall where Harley's blood had not been wiped away. Every night, she heard a little girl's voice whispering her name from the wall. No one else heard. Only she. And she knew that was the beginning. Punishment had come. Bill, meanwhile, wandered around the house like a lost soul. He tried every way to erase the traces of the incident. Burning objects related to Dani, cleaning up all the glass, blood, and fingerprints. But the more he tried, the more he realized something terrible. Something was playing a cat-and-mouse game with him. The blood stains he wiped away the day before reappeared the next morning. The pictures of Dani as a child that he tried to burn appeared in the drawer. And most importantly, he begins to hear a lullaby from the basement, a song that only one person knows. Dani's mother, who died mysteriously in the house. The madness spreads like an invisible contagion. Those who survived the first encounter with Beyond the Gates are now slowly returning, as if drawn back by an invisible force. Each person carries their own fear, a secret that has never been revealed. And they all have the same feeling, the gate is no longer closed. It is expanding, swallowing everything, and Bill and Dani are at the center of that dark vortex. All reason is gradually distorted. Time is no longer linear. The people living under that roof begin to find themselves repeating the same actions every day. It is as if the past, present and future are blending into one. Dani, her mind tortured by guilt and the whispers of the night, begins to write strange symbols in her blood on the wall. Bill does not stop her, but helps her complete it. They are like two people hypnotized by an irresistible fateful plan. Eventually, the truth comes out. The secret Harley reveals involves not just Dani, but her entire family's bloodline, the gatekeepers of the other world. Dani is the last descendant who can seal the gate, but Harley's revelation breaks the final barrier. Dani is no longer human, she is becoming something else. A creature between two worlds. And Bill, in his madness, knows it. But instead of running away, he chooses to stay. For love. For the promise. And because he knows that when the gate beyond the gates truly opens again, only the bravest or the most insane will dare face what lies beyond. Tension spreads like a ghostly spider web through every hallway, every room in the house where Dani and Bill are taking refuge. The few who had ever set foot in this place had vanished without a trace. Curious people, investigators, even Harley's own family, all gone into the darkness without explanation. People began to whisper of ancient curses, of living entities lurking behind the half-opened gates. But whispers kept no one alive. They were useless echoes in a deadly game from which no one could escape. Dani, though deeply haunted and out of control, seemed to be guided by an invisible force. Every night, she wrote strange symbols in her own blood on the walls. The symbols snake like snakes, like ancient engravings that no one had ever read. Seemed to piece together a map leading to the heart of beyond the gates, where it all began, and where it would all end. Bill, no longer the rational man he once was, had become a fanatical vigilante. He could no longer tell what was real from what was unreal. His eyes were empty but burning with obsession. In the basement, he had erected an altar of white bones. Black cloths soaked in blood were hung like death flags. He believed that completing the ancient ritual would transform Dani completely, no longer the weakling who had been betrayed by Harley, but a dark priestess who could seal the gate forever, or tear it open to restore a new order. And then the fateful night came. The blood moon hung over the hilltop, casting a red glow over the decaying mansion. All the lights went out. The wind stopped blowing. The clocks stopped ringing. All movement in space seemed to stop. And from the basement, the lullaby rang out again, this time Dani's own voice, mixed with the eerie sounds of 1,000 voices singing a triumphant song to the devil. In her delirium, Dani took an ancient silver knife and cut a deep slit in her palm, dripping blood into the center of the ancient symbol she had drawn so long ago. Bill stood behind her, his hands stained with blood. His left holding an ancient book made of human skin, his right holding a strange black jar of ashes. He read aloud words that did not belong to any language, making the air thick and hot like the mouth of a purgatory. The ground shook. The walls began to bleed like cold sweat from the body of a dying creature. On the ceiling, strange eyes opened, looking down with amusement. A portal appeared in the middle of the room, not physical, but like a tear in reality itself. It rippled like a curtain woven of black smoke and screams. And from beyond, hands reached out, bodies writhed, long-suffering cries began to echo, coming in waves like a bloody tide. Dani was not afraid. She took a step forward, her eyes fixed on the portal as if facing her fate. But just as she was about to step through that fateful threshold, a voice spoke from behind her. It was Harley. She was not dead. After Dani attacked her, she had been rescued and brought back to life by a group of practitioners of ancient magic. Harley appeared in a white light, holding a pendant that glowed fiercely. It was the symbol of the old guardian, the only one with the power to resist the summoning ritual. Harley entered the ritual space, stopped by Bill with a fierce and crazy look. But she did not flinch. She shouted Dani's name, reminding her of the past, of her true nature, of the love that had been distorted by fear and manipulation. She said that if Dani stepped through that gate, she would no longer be herself, but a new embodiment of the living entity on the other side, never to return. Dani wavered. Her blood boiled. The whispers from the gate suddenly softened, as if to entice. Bill shouted, telling her to continue the ritual. But Dani's eyes were no longer of this world. She looked up at Harley. Then at the gate. And suddenly, she pulled out the knife, turned to Bill. In a flash, the blade pierced his chest, where once the heart of a guardian had been, now a deep pit filled with obsession. Bill fell, eyes wide, still looking at the portal with regret and unspoken pain. With the remaining strength, Dani knelt down, using Bill's own blood to draw the final symbol. The portal shook violently, then contracted, as if being sucked into another dimension. The rising entities were pulled back, their screams fading into space like wind blowing through a graveyard. Everything was engulfed in a bright red light and then extinguished. The night covered it again, absolute silence. When everything was over, Dani collapsed in Harley's arms. She was not dead. But she was no longer the same person. Her hair was gray, her eyes were misty, and her soul seemed to have been partially burned away. Harley took her away from that place. Away from the house that had been a prison for so many souls. But there was one thing that no one knew. As the portal closes, a piece of Dani's soul remains trapped on the other side. And somewhere in this world, a baby girl is being born, her eyes are black, her hands are small, but she bears a coiled snake mark on her skin. Don't miss anything. Subscribe and follow the channel today to discover the most dramatic and fascinating stories with us.